welcome to Interfaith New Thought Center. As you know, my name is Dr. Clayton Beaver, and this Sunday, Dr. Sharron was called out of town to speak at a very important event in Los Angeles, but she will be back next Sunday. And if you notice from the program we have today, the new month starts, and there'll be a whole new series of lessons to consider for taking in. The lesson this Sunday is expect a miracle. Now that's a great idea, right? I think one of the major things when you look at these titles here, it can be very easy to look at this and say, what's that all about? That's kind of flowery pie in the sky stuff. Where's the meat? Where's the meat? Well, one of the things that we begin with in this teaching is the concept that God is all there is, whole, perfect, and complete. And each of us is an individualized expression of that God consciousness, so that we are connected to that power, that universal power. And we're not many of us come to the party here from a background where we look that we were in effect. We live in this great, big, powerful world, and boy, we better just watch our P's and Q's because we're in effect. We're not in charge of much of anything. Nothing could be further from the truth. This is a classroom, and we can learn as much as we want here. I think we all ultimately get what we're supposed to get on one level or another, or we have to go back to the classroom again. Because what? Because it's not about trying to make us learn anything. It's simply about our commitment to be part of and have the truth operating in our lives. So it's only a win for us, no matter how you cut it. It's only a win for us. It gives us an opportunity to take and live our highest and our best. To do those things in life that we may have come here to do, that we might not have been able to do had we not gotten a little centered. On one level, we need to understand there's nobody out there. There is nobody out there. What we have is a perception of what's out there. And I think when we can get to the point where this God-centeredness, for lack of a better thing, that we are guided and protected always, that we are part of this creative force, and that we can call on this creative force, and no matter what setbacks come along, we are in a position to gain and benefit from it. Frequently, I think many of us can say that we've had times in our lives that were extremely difficult, even worse than that, and yet they ended up being materially beneficial in our world. So the one thing that we know in this teaching is that it's all God. And you're not going to get a fail grade because you go back to the classroom if you need to do that. And I've needed to do it more than once. I think the thing it does, though, the beauty of this teaching is it gives us a God connection that is personal, because we're part of it. Many religions, you have this God thing that's out here, and all-powerful, all-knowing, and all the good stuff. In fact, if you read the Bible, it's got some horror stories in it, but the basic core of it is all about solid spiritual principles. The problem is for many is that it also makes us kind of fearful that we're separate from, and we better do this and we better do that, or we're going to be in big serious trouble. The only trouble we'll have is with ourselves. It's the only trouble we ever have. We have situations that we need to deal with, and we can do that readily once we get here. Why? Because we know we are one with God. We're one with the creative force. One with the creative force. And when you look, as those of us that live out in the valley here, you look out here in the morning and see these mountains, San Jacinto and San Gorgonio, and you see the beautiful clouds we've had here the last few days. And you watch the wildlife that's out there in this barren desert. My God, that's got to be a good God in my book. It's got to be a good God. There's nothing here in opposition to me. nor to anybody else, in my opinion. The problems usually arise among us human critters is that we misinterpret information. And that's almost always when we're coming from a place of fear. A place of fear. Not suggesting, by the way, that you don't use some common sense and caution in your dealings in this world. That's a power that God gave you as well. But the nice thing in this teaching, in my opinion, is that we can rely on it will be there. Because we will not be abandoned. And we will not be abused. And we will not in any way be taken advantage of. It's an opportunity to grow and to experience life on a more complete and full level. And that we take the benefit, the things that we were given in life, and we can go forth, and maybe we do something totally different. We're no longer caught up in a conundrum of doing a program that somebody else thinks is a good idea for us. We get to make some choices. And sometimes those choices will be very conventional. But we have the option. And we know one affirmation that I use a lot, because I think it's crucial. I am guided and protected always. Perfect right action prevails. I am guided and protected always. Perfect right action prevails. So frequently something will happen and the result won't be exactly what I had in mind. Why? I had this preconception about how it should be. Now when I take my little pea brain and I wrap it around a set of facts that with my background and everything, I'm probably going to be inclined towards a certain conclusion. Sometimes it's very clear, in which case it probably has a little more universal truth. Other times it's very limited to my personal background. But the one thing I know is that ultimately I'm guided and protected always. How often have you had an opportunity to just have that feeling that you just know this is the right thing? You know this is the answer. Where'd that come from? That's the God within. That's the God within that guides and protects me always. And I know that my answer may not be the same as your answer on the same question. Why? My lesson is a little different. The lesson I need to learn is a little different than the one you need to learn. And sometimes the lesson I need to learn, you don't need to even know about. Everybody has their own stuff, I think, that we're learning here. And this is kind of the gift of life. We have an opportunity to see a variety of different things that occur. And to benefit from them. And to do it without fear. And I know that we have a lot of this, I think most of us, even before we got into this teaching. I was in a very mainstream religion, and I treasure it to this day, and I have a much better appreciation of it now that I'm separated from it than I did when I was part of it. But even then, certain things that I experienced, I felt I was guided and protected. When I was a very young man, I was commissioned in the Marine Corps when I was 21 and went to Vietnam. And it was pretty nasty. But I never felt that I wasn't protected. And I had a couple of things happen there that were impossible not to have killed me, and didn't. So what did that mean? That's this higher self connected with a God, power that I am a part of, which is greater than me individually. And by knowing that, everything seems to flow. It's when I start fretting and questioning the fact that that's available to me that we have some difficulty. And I think the other thing is that when we get into this teaching, we're frequently guided to things that we never thought about before. And I think the answer is, I'm guided and protected always. Perfect right action prevails. It's not important that I do a particular thing. It's important that whatever I do the best of my ability. And for the times that you haven't, and I've had some of those, where I didn't do it to the best of my ability, there's always kind of a kickback on it. Something I didn't learn, something I felt maybe a little guilty about. and we don't believe in guilt here, but I'm telling you, at least it brings to your attention that there's a reason to get in there and do this stuff. And to do it with a lot of enthusiasm, and to do it as right as I can. One of the things that's interesting here on these lessons is that when we talk about expecting a miracle, it's not about this isn't some pie in the sky thing. What do you have to do to have a miracle? Modify your expectations. Know that what I have in mind as a miracle may not be what really is a miracle. It's a matter of perceptions. My perceptions get in my way. And if I don't like what's going on, an idea held steadily in mind draws to itself those things necessary for its fulfillment. That's just an axiom. It's a truism. And when you're in the middle of that and nothing's happening, what do? You keep, if you're clear on it, hold the idea steadily in mind. There's a power in that. And that power is available to you, what? Through the grace of this higher power, this God thing, whatever you want to call it. It's something that we're a part of, that we're guided by, and that we need to trust. And we also get to make all the individual decisions we want. But we know we've always got a home base, and that we are connected to where we come from and are a part of this God power, this creative power that is within us. One of the things I like about this teaching too is that it doesn't have the hellfire brimstone in it. You basically will get it when it's time to get it. Does that mean you don't suffer when you do stupid things? No. Anybody here that hasn't suffered when they've done some stupid things? I certainly have. But it does teach me, if I'm willing to be something other than stubborn and opinionated, that I don't have to continue doing that. There are other times when another truism, in my opinion, is persistence alone is omnipotent. So that even when you are facing challenges, which are difficult, nay, impossible in appearance, that if I know it's the right thing for me to do, I stay with it. I stay clear. Why? Because God and I are one. And if the miracle doesn't happen, what do I need to do? Change my perception of it. Stay with it. If you're clear, that's where you need to be. And I think that when we have a chance to reevaluate whatever the life's lessons we learned, the closer we get to staying with truth and a connection with a higher power, the more pleasant we will be able to look at our life. And in fact, as we go along, the more we will enjoy the trip that we've had. And the other nice thing is that no matter what mistakes you made, none of them are irreparable. It just means you may have a couple extra lessons. And the people, if you happen to pick up some, let's face it, some of us, I've picked up some of them real quickly. Others not so quickly. And another observation, in my opinion, about that is that get off your case about it. Most of us don't have a worse enemy than ourselves. We're constantly picking at ourselves. How can you expect anybody to perform well and love themselves or anybody else if they're constantly being picked on? And frequently that is coming from me and from you. It's not coming from anybody out there. It's an interesting journey. I'm watching this time. Anybody got 4 minutes ago? It's an interesting journey. And the other thing I found, and the beauty of this teaching again, is that I'm always going to be assisted. This higher power is always going to be with me. that I need to, if I choose, maybe change course. I can take on a whole, and I don't care what your age is, by the way, and I'm one of the older people in here, I would expect. Change your course. I've done it many, many times. And I probably have a few more ahead of me. Getting a little lazy living out here in this desert. And maybe that is the mission, to enjoy it. I get up in the morning, I have hummingbird feeders all over my patio, and I don't even have to get out of bed to look at the mountain and see the hummingbirds and look out at the golf course. And, wow, it's pretty hard not to see God in that. It's pretty hard not to see God in that. Most of what I'm looking at, I couldn't, if I were born in a blank space and lived to be 1,000 years, I wouldn't even imagine those things. So doesn't it tell you that this creative force is up to some really pretty good stuff? And yes, we live on a physical planet, so there are actions, volcanoes and all this stuff going on. That's not out to get us and punish us. It's just a byproduct of where we're living and what we're doing. Notice it. That's another thing I think is important. Rather than react to things, frequently notice them. Just notice them. And I found, particularly on disturbing things, one of the best things to do is just put your hands like this, palms up, and just hold it like a brick. Just look at it. There it is. We don't have to make a judgment and decision about everything. That would include the things we like and the things we don't like. We have options. And we have a loving, creative power that supports us and is there for us, no matter what kind of a dilemma or what kind of a situation we're in. And that if we make mistakes, frequently they're based on self. I found that most of the mistakes I make are based when I have a heavy emphasis on self without looking at a broader picture. And by the way, I am not suggesting that you don't take care of self, because if you don't take care of you, who will? And it's not probably a good idea to ask somebody whose opinion you're not much interested in what you should do. That's why this God connection that we have, I think it's a very, very fine thing, is to go within. Go within. Be still and know. Be still and know what? Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. The answers will come. And if that isn't working for you initially, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Because this universe, this God thing that we're talking about, is not in opposition to us, quite the opposite. In total support, God is in total support, the creative force is in total support of its creation. So with that, and part of that is for us to use our judgment. Love each other, that's another thing. Have you ever noticed when you start making a point of really liking people, how much better you feel? And then frequently when you've got the barriers up about whoever may be out there, it's not about them at all. It's based on usually fear on some level, or some kind of an issue I have with me. Frequently the things we don't like are merely teachers or lessons. It's an easy lesson that's given to us, and what we need to look at in terms of our own existence, in our own life. Everything is a gift, and everything is a lesson. And if I can treasure it that way, rather than feeling that, oh, woe is me, the world is tough, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to defend myself, I have to make sure this doesn't happen. Well, maybe just be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. I am with you always. I support you. I nurture you. When you fall down, I will be there in the form of somebody else usually. I will be there because God is in each and every one of us. I will be there in one form or another to support you and help you. And what do you have to do to have that? What do I have to do to get that? Simply be open and willing. Open and willing. Some of this, I think, knowing many of the people here and seeing that most of the people here have been around this teaching for a long time, you're pretty clear on most of this stuff. But the one thing I found for me, no matter how clear I am on something, I need to have it reiterated, and I need to reinforce it, and I need to think about it again. The fact I got it once doesn't mean it's going to be there later. So in any event, I know we're all going to be delighted with Dr. Sharron back next week. I'm glad I had an opportunity to spend a few minutes with you, and I hope that if you get what I found for me, if I'm in something and listening to something, if I get one thought that I can use, I won. So if there's just one thing that makes you think a little bit further, a little deeper, or appreciate something or know something else you've got to look at in yourself, wow, you've had a great day. And I've had a great day being here with you this morning. I appreciate it very much, and God bless you.